player without no shield and sent close to the high ground closing in. This wasn't supposed to happen, but it did. Nobody in this arena thought this was possible, but they proved them wrong. Before we get into that, let's start off at the beginning. Dusseldorf, Germany, the FNCS 2026 Major 1 Summit, the biggest Fortnite LAN of the year so far. 75 of the best duos on the planet, over $1 million on the line, and a ticket for the top 15 duos to the Global Championship waiting at the end of it. And then on Championship Sunday, it all came down to one final game. To understand this win, we must first understand the winners. Let's start off with Vico. He's 19 years old, from Austria, and his real name is Taylor. He's been grinding Fortnite competitive since 2021, while most players his age were still in arena. His first real breakout came in 2023 when he won the solo Red Bull contested LAN, but then in 2024 he took his first FNCS Grand Finals win with Flixie, and then after that he teamed up with Vino, one of the most dominant EU fighters of all time, and they start running through lobbies like there isn't even competition there. So, with his track record coming into this LAN, Vico isn't just an aspiring and rising player anymore, he's one of the big contenders to win it all. And this was noticeable when he came into Dusseldorf, as he came in with something to prove. Now that we know a little bit about Vico, let's go ahead and head over to his duo, Malibuka. Malibuka is 20 years old, born in Russia, and he's based in Belgrade. And Malibuka, he is regarded as one of the most mechanically gifted players Fortnite has ever seen. He has over $1.2 million in earnings before this LAN event even started. The titles he has, he's a Gamer 8 LAN champion, an FNCS Grands winner with Mustache back in 2024, so you can say his track record speaks for itself. But throughout his entire career, Malibuka always seems to be caught up in some drama, whether it's when he does something impossible, and trust me, he does that a lot, or when he seems to be in POI drama. People start asking questions and throwing out some sus allegations. But here's what I'll say. You don't want to land by accident. Mind you, this LAN was in front of cameras, referees, and the entire world was watching him live. What you're seeing, it isn't anything else besides him. And when you put him next to Vico, both on the BIG org, they both peaking at the same time, this duo was a problem before the LAN event even started. Now let's go ahead and transition to Championship Sunday. 8 games, 1 day, top 15 duos go to Belgium, pride on the line. This LAN was meant to settle the debate between EU versus NA, which is the more dominant region. And going into Game 8, the leaderboard was in chaos. 5 duos still had a shot at the title. Now first place going into Game 8, which was Sky and Scroll, had been playing some of the most textbook definition of Fortnite that we have ever seen today. They were in a strong position going into Game 8, and they were projected to win based off of consistency. But then, Game 8 happened, and I'll let the clip speak for itself.
He gets through an AR, he gets tagged up though. It's down! First place! It's out of the game early! Cassie and Damo!
That happened. They were scared that they were going to get landed on, so they swerved and landed directly on 42nd place in Oceania team. Unfortunately, this drop was a 50-50, and on this day, they lost that 50-50. So, their perfect weekend, it was gone in seconds. But sadly, that is the reality of competitive Fortnite. If you make one bad call, everything can be gone in a second. But Vico and Malibuka, when they seen this in the kill feed, they didn't panic. They stay locked in and stay disciplined. And when the final zone started pulling in, they made sure they were in them. Now we're in the endgame. Malibuka goes down. Then Peterbot, 3rd place at this time, someone in the race to win the tournament, gets eliminated. And suddenly, it's just Vico and Pollo alive on their duos. Vico is a solo barely surviving, and Pollo is waiting on height. 4 FNCS titles, a world championship, everything on the line. Think about that pressure. Vico is 19 years old, on the LAN stage, with a crowd roaring in Dusseldorf. He has no shield, no duo, with millions on the line. Most players, they crumble in that moment. Vico didn't. He gets the kill, and then he goes ahead and locks in a top 4. Pollo goes on, he fights to the end and gives his best valiant effort, even securing a 2nd place in the last game. And that's it. Vico and Malabuka are your FNCS 2026 Major 1 champions. $250,000 champions. And this isn't just a tournament win, this is a shift in the entire scene. BIG, they now have a duo that is young, explosive, and they seem to be reaching their peak at the exact perfect time. The Global Championship is next. 15 spots from this event, they go straight to there. And Vico and Malabuka, as they won, already have their spots locked in. And if they bring this same intensity into that arena, it is in for some big trouble. A 19-year-old from Austria, a 20-year-old from Belgrade, 1 org, 1 LAN, 250,000 reasons to remember their names. Vico and Malabuka are not the future of competitive Fortnite, they are currently the present. Now the future, Shark, we'll talk about in a later episode. If this is your first time here on Zeta Media, this is what we do here. No filler, just the stories that matter in competitive Fortnite. Subscribe if you want to understand this scene for real, and please make sure to leave a like. And then, you guys let me know, do you think Peterbot and Pollo will make a redemption for the Global Championship, or do you think Vico Malabuka are scheduled to win it all?